If you've been in a car accident in Scotland, chances are you have one big question on your mind. How on earth is my compensation actually calculated? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down step by step so you know exactly how a whiplash claim is valued. Let's dive right in. So yeah, the big question. How is it done? The most important thing to get your head around is that it's not a guess. It's not some random number they pull out of a hat. Nope, it's a structured calculation based on very clear rules and evidence, and we're about to walk through that structure together. Here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the basic two-part formula. Then, we'll dig into how your injury award and your financial losses are figured out. After that, we'll cover a few things that can change the final total before we put it all together with a worked example. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Every single personal injury claim in Scotland, whiplash included, is built from two fundamental building blocks. Getting these two parts is the first crucial step. The first building block is called solatium. I know it's a bit of a fancy legal word, right? But think of it this way. It's the compensation for the human cost of the injury, for the pain you've had to deal with and the ways it's messed with your quality of life. The second part is special damages. Now, this one is way more straightforward. This is all about paying you back for every single penny you've lost or had to spend because of the accident. This is the purely financial side of things. And really, it's as simple as this. You take the value for your injury, the solatium, and you add it to the value of your financial losses, the special damages. Boom, that's your total compensation. That's the foundational formula for everything that follows. Okay, so let's tackle the most complicated part. How in the world you put a price tag on the injury itself? Well, since 2021, a claim can go down one of two very different paths, and it all depends on the value of the claim. Now, this is where things get really interesting. You see this split? For smaller claims under £5,000 from road accidents, there's a new, rigid system with fixed amounts called the tariff regime. For all other claims, we use the traditional, much more flexible Judicial College Guidelines, which give a range of values instead of a single fixed number. So if your claim falls under that new tariff system, this is your reality. Look at this table. It's a set of fixed, non-negotiable amounts. The money you get for your pain and suffering is tied directly to one thing and one thing only: how long your injury is predicted to last. And that brings us to maybe the most crucial point of all. Everything, and I mean everything, hinges on the independent medical report. The doctor's prognosis, their professional prediction of how long your symptoms will last, is what slots you into a specific tariff band or a bracket in the guidelines. That report isn't just a piece of paper. It is the bedrock of your claims valuation. Right, we've nailed down the injury award. Now let's circle back to that second part of our formula, special damages. This is where we get the calculator out and start tallying up all the financial hits you've taken because of this accident. And listen, this can cover a lot more than you might think. It's not just the obvious stuff like lost paychecks or physiotherapy bills. We're talking travel costs for doctor's appointments, car repairs, and get this, even the value of care that family members or friends had to provide. All of these get added on top of your injury award. So we have our solatium and our special damages. But wait, before we add them up for the grand total, there are a couple of key variables that can actually adjust the final figure you receive, either pushing it up or pulling it down. The first one is called contributory negligence. Sounds a bit jargony, but the idea is simple. If it's found that you were partly at fault for your own injuries, your total compensation will be reduced by a percentage. The classic example in whiplash claims: not wearing a seatbelt. And this chart shows you exactly how that works in the real world. A finding of, say, 15% contributory negligence doesn't just knock a bit off the injury award. Nope. It takes a 15% slice out of the entire compensation amount, including all your financial losses. It's a straight percentage cut from the final total. On the other hand, what if the accident caused a separate psychological injury, like anxiety or even PTSD? Well, that's valued completely separately. It gets its own assessment using the Judicial College Guidelines, and that value is then added to your whiplash compensation, which increases your total award. Whew, okay, we've covered a lot of ground. I think the absolute best way to see how all these pieces click together is to walk through a practical, step-by-step example. Let's make this all crystal clear. All right, step one, let's value the injury. Let's imagine the medical report gives a prognosis of 8 months to recover. Because this is a lower value claim, it falls squarely into the tariff regime. That 8-month prognosis puts it in the 6 to 9-month band, which gives us a fixed, non-negotiable solatium award of £520.
Next, step 2, the financial losses. We calculate 6 weeks of lost earnings, 10 sessions of physio, prescription costs, and travel mileage. When we add up all those documented costs, we get a total for special damages of £2,970.
And finally, step 3. This is the easy bit. We just add our two figures together. The $520 for the injury plus the $2,970 for the financial losses gives us a total compensation value of $3,490 for this claim. See? It's a clear, evidence-based calculation. So, after all of that, why does this matter? It's because knowledge is power. When you understand how your claim is actually valued, you have the foundation you need to look at any settlement offer from an insurer and know for yourself whether it's fair. And that gives you the confidence to reject a lowball offer and to pursue the compensation that you are genuinely entitled to. Knowing the method behind the number, well, it really does change everything.